Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show, People of Distinction. The talk that gives you an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, alcoleenterprises.com for more info. Email me directly through benji@alcoleenterprises.com if you'd like to get involved with what we have going. And as always, please continue to like and follow our broadcasts. People of Distinction is an internationally syndicated show solely due to the love and support that you all continue to show. We're available across all major podcast distributors, and like I mentioned, people, if you keep following, we're going to continue to put out the content. Now sit back and strap in because we are delighted to showcase this next guest on our network. And on the line with us today, we have the impressive Joanne Radke. Now, we're going to be discussing Joanne's book, The Sanctuary. But while you're at it, check out her other books that she has written. There's Jessica's Dilemma, there's Jessica the Dreamer, and Why Is My House Always a Mess? Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. That's something I think is going to be right up my alley. It's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble, it's a lot of other places, but most importantly, it's JoanneRadkeBooks.com. Head on over there, gather more information on her, more information on these books, as well as find hyperlinks set up to take you to the purchasing pages. I'm telling you, it's a one-stop shop for everything she has in store. And listen, it is a true pleasure to have Joanne here on the line. People, her novel, The Sanctuary, is going to be a non-stop page turner. I really do mean it, man. We were reading the book in preparation for today's interview, and this is not a lie, this is not a play on hyperbole. I couldn't put it down. I mean, it was something that was absolutely gripping. A murder mystery novel, a romance thrown in there just to kind of shake things up. This is the type of book that you're going to want to add to your shelf. It's going to help you pass the time, and it's balanced wonderfully well. I'm telling you, Joanne is doing some things, and you need to get involved. And without further ado, let's bring her here with us so we can discuss it further, okay? Joanne, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you very much for being a guest. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, and thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you for accepting our invitation, Joanne. I mean, listen, I tell you, man, this is something that we have been thoroughly looking forward to. As I mentioned at the top of the show, your book, man, this was one that I was not able to put down. When I was reading it, it was something that had me hooked from the very beginning. I mean, it's a murder mystery, romance novel, all balled into one. But listen, you balance it perfectly. And I think that is so key to the success of this novel. So listen, we're looking forward to this, and we're thoroughly wanting to get this discussion going here with you, Joanne. Before we jump into your book, I guess it would probably be important to start off by learning a little bit more about yourself and your background. So let's start there. Who is Joanne Radke?
Well, I have been in the Christian ministry for 47 years, working over my lifetime about 6 different ministries. I love to write. I started writing as a child. Have written all kinds of different things, over 60 articles in different periodicals, and The Sanctuary now is my 4th book. So, yeah. I'm a single gal. I don't have any children. I just love my life. I work for the 700 Club, Canada. I manage their prayer center at the moment and have done for the last 18 years. And I just love my team and the people I get to pray with every day. So that's a bit about me.
Love that. Love that. Well, again, welcome to People of Distinction. And, you know, I want to jump right in with a very specific point pertaining to your novel, right? I mean, first and foremost, the basic lying notion here is inspiration, okay? But even deeper than what inspired you to write the book, Joanne, I love the fact that all of these murders that happen in the book all take place on the same day, right? Now, listen, for any crime TV watcher, enthusiast, or novel writer out there, that is something that offers a lot, right? Because it clearly, if it happens all on the same day, well, that would lead to the assumption that this is a serial killer or even a copycat murder. So it goes right into something that is very unique. And I want to go there for a second. What inspired you to actually set it in that particular way?
I actually wrote the book with another friend, Shirley, and it was a collaboration of both of our minds kind of figuring out what to do and how to write this book. And the idea of the multiple murders, one a year on the 1st of July every year, was actually her idea, but it was intriguing, and now it's coming to the 4th year, and they have to solve this murder so that the town can be at peace again. And you'll see as you find the end of the book, when you find out who actually did the murders, there's a reason why it was the July the 1st. It was a reason why they were all done in a specific order. And that doesn't come to light until you're almost through the book. So that's a little bit, like you say, the intrigue of it, one thing. So there's a deadline. You have to get to solve it before someone else dies, because you know somebody else is going to die on the 1st. So, yeah.
Pressure, right? I mean, it adds such a heightened stake to all of this. You know, my next place that I wanted to go now, let's go a bit into the writing process. Now, as I mentioned before, murder mystery, a little bit of romance there sprinkled in. And in my opinion, I think you've balanced this beautifully. Well, I want to go into this process of yours while creating the book. How did you manage to balance each of these without one overshadowing the other?
Well, Shirley and I, when we were brainstorming and writing it, we were brainstorming a lot and what would be to make it smooth and continue to be intriguing, because you're finding out a little bit of the romance, and then you're going back to the murder, and then you're going back to the romance or what's going on in the sanctuary, and then you're back to the plot and of the murder, and back and forth and back and forth. And in my experience reading, a lot of reading, the most enjoyable books that I've read have been ones that have just in the middle, when you're just at the climax of that particular plot or scene, it changes, and then you got to go back to it, and you know, so it's always keeping your interest and always keeping your mind working, because then when you go back to that scene later, okay, yeah, right, what happened? Where are they going now? So it always keeps you on your toes, and it's a kind of book that you don't want to put down. People that write like that, that's the kind of books that I like to read. You have to stay up all night reading it because you want to find out what happens next, which I think is a good author.
Well, listen, I agree with you there, Joanne. That is definitely the mark of a great writer. Because like I mentioned, when I was reading this book, I couldn't put it down. I was hooked from the very beginning, and with each passing page, I was like, I want to find out more. I want to see what is happening here. You know, my follow-up question now that I want to go into is your title. Let's talk about that here for a little bit, because I think there is something remarkably intriguing about it. Because, listen, I mean, you take the term, there's like this hypocrisy of it all. Because again, you take the term sanctuary. Well, that just naturally and innately implies safety. But then you read the novel and you understand that these characters are anything but safe. So talk to us about that, and really why you chose this to be the representation for your novel.
Well, Shirley and I owned a house, and I still live in it. Shirley passed away about 12 years ago. And we used to do a lot of bed and breakfast and have all kinds of different interesting people come to our home and stay overnight and that. And so that was part of our doing the sanctuary, that was a sanctuary which basically would be like a retreat center or a bed and breakfast. And so the girls in the book are two girls that were friends as young people. And Sharon grew up, got married, moved away. Janice became a missionary in Africa and moved away. Well, then Janice's parents died, and she had to come back to deal with things. And then Sharon's husband passed on, saving a little boy in a fire because he was a firefighter.
Wow.
So they find themselves back in their hometown, and this home that they've had their eye on all their life, they buy to do a bed and breakfast retreat center. So it's a place of peace and quiet, and Shirley was a decorator, so the book really has a lot of descriptions of the different rooms, and it's a delightful place. Anybody want to go visit just by the descriptions of the rooms. That's basically how we did that part, but then we needed somebody, the girls needed somebody to be the handyman because their handyman had an emergency and had to leave. So they put an ad in the paper and get this undercover CIA guy, Jason, and he comes and starts working for them, but at the same time, he's working with the sheriff to try to solve these murders. So they also need a cook, so his brother comes on the scene. He's a cook in one of the big cities, so he comes back and becomes the cook of the sanctuary. So then you get the romance. You got the two girls and the two guys, and their sparks fly, and they just are falling in love with each other. And so that's what it is. So you're at the sanctuary, things happen at the sanctuary, different stuff, and then the character of all the visitors as well, the stuff that happens with the visitors. And then you got this murder on your scene, so it's all kind of intertwining back and forth. And that's how we started the thought of it, because we were in a home with all kinds of different people coming and visiting. So we knew what that would kind of be like if we had like a bigger place to be able to do that. So,
people, again, we're here on the line with Joanne Radke. Now we're discussing her amazing novel, The Sanctuary. Available through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and a whole host of other places. But make sure to check out her personal site, JoanneRadkeBooks.com. While you're there, listen, you're not only going to find information on her, information on this amazing novel, but you're also going to be greeted with 3 other books that she has written to this point, and hopefully much more on the horizon. One is called Jessica's Dilemma, Jessica the Dreamer, and lastly, Why Is My House Always a Mess? You know, I was jokingly talking to Joanne earlier, saying how I can relate to the house always being a mess. Man, I'm telling you, my children, they keep me on my toes, okay? They keep the house dirty and they keep myself and my wife working. My goodness, it is like a never-ending thing. Just when you washed one dish, here comes another 10. It's never ending. And I think that's the book, man. Listen, if you're out there, you're listening in and you're like me, or maybe you're not, maybe you just happen to be a messy person, that's the book for you, okay? Because Joanne is going to show you how to declutter some things and really help you straighten everything out. She's the person. She's the person with the master plan, okay? Once again, it's JoanneRadkeBooks.com. Head on over there today and get lost in everything that she has to offer. Joanne, let's go back to the writing process here for a second. Something that I've heard on a number of occasions before, and I think it's really interesting, and something that I've experienced myself as a filmmaker, or really any artist, I'm sure, can relate. Talk to us when you were developing this story. Were there any times where either your characters or even your story appeared to just kind of take on a life of its own and even almost write itself?
Well, the way I write, it's like a movie. I see a movie in my head, and it's like scene by scene. I don't know what's coming until I start writing. And then the next scene comes, and then the next scene comes. Shirley's process was more, okay, I want this to happen, and this to happen. And so we've kind of blended together. So it's actually, it was quite fun to do together because we do think differently. But to be able to just figure out what we wanted to come next and how to put it on paper, was fun to do. And we tweaked it here and there, and as we read it, and when we're mostly almost all finished it, Shirley decided she wanted to have a dog in the mix. And her son has a dog named Casey, so Casey showed up in the book. And, always getting into trouble and doing things like that, dogs can add a lot of excitement to your life. And we could, when you're editing, you can edit until, 20 million times, and it's still not what you actually want. But so there's a time when you got to stop editing and just say, okay, this is it, it's done, and go with it. But you can add more and more any time to it,
Yeah. Well, listen, I get that, right? As I mentioned before, as an artist myself, that work never seems to be done, right? I mean, there's always more enhancements. There's always more that you can put in and further develop. So at a certain point, you just got to let go. And I remember, so often, probably at every particular project that I've ever worked on, the moment I stop and close out of it officially, I think of at least 10 other things that I'm like, oh, I could do this. I can add that in. I can change this. And it's just, like I mentioned, man, listen, at a certain point, you just gotta take that leap of faith and you just gotta close out of it, And talking about closing out of it, Joanne, let's go ahead and start to close out of the sanctuary here.
I'll just leave all that for the next one, the sequel, Sanctuary 2. There will be a Sanctuary 2 with another plot and more colorful characters coming to the sanctuary, and the sheriff needing more help with something else, another case or two.
But well, there you have it, people. Listen, that was going to be one of my closing questions. I was going to ask, was there more that was on the horizon, if there was more coming up? And you just jumped right in. Joanne is a marketing person. She understands how to comprise all of this and put it together here for you. Leave you wanting more. I love it. I love it. Joanne, listen, I'm going to switch gears here as I present my final question and we close out. What are you hoping that your readers take upon conclusion of your novel? What do you want them taking away?
Well, I hope that they just enjoy the process as they read through the novel. Those that love the romance would enjoy the romance. Those that love to figure out the plot would enjoy that. And just that it would be a really good read, easy read, a joyful read, and that they'd come back just realizing this is a good, positive book. But you say, how can murder be positive? But just as they work together as friends and in the community, just a good round story that they will enjoy and want more of, hopefully, for the second one.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I have no doubt that they are going to do just that. Joanne, I'm telling you, your book is remarkably entertaining and something that people, listen, if you need a book to help pass the time on a rainy day, man, look no further. This book's got what you're looking for. Okay, one last time. It's called The Sanctuary. It's Amazon, it's Barnes & Noble, it's a lot of other places. But most importantly, JoanneRadkeBooks.com. While you're there, make sure to look into the 3 other books that she has written at this time. And also, check back in frequently because, as she just mentioned, there's a sequel on the horizon to The Sanctuary. You're going to want to head on over there and get lost in all of these amazing novels. Joanne, this has been an absolute pleasure, a true delight. I really do mean that. Thank you for writing these amazing books, but most importantly, thank you for being here with us to discuss it all through people of distinction.
Well, thank you so much, Benji, and have a great day.